Hello everyone, my name is Seth and this is my 2020 Mixing Game Jam experience. The theme announced was mixing genres, and honestly I was a little bit disappointed because that's a super open-ended theme, but I went ahead and hunkered down and got to work. My friend had helped me flesh out an idea for a survival adventure puzzle game, where the player starts off shipwrecked on an island and has to find a way to make contact in order to be safe. It was a simple concept, but required a fair bit of mechanics to make it interesting. I started off by creating a first-person player controller, which did not take long at all. Then I moved on to creating an inventory system. I created a handful of placeholder items and got to work adding the ability to pick up and drop items. I felt like the boxes for the items were kind of bland, so I hopped into Blender and began creating models for all the items. After replacing the boxes, I decided the items needed color, so I went to Photoshop and began creating a color sheet and texturing the items in Blender. Once the items were looking all snazzy, I figured since I was already in Blender, I'd start modeling some trees for the map. First was obviously the palm tree, followed by a weird oak, and finally a classic pine. Of course, once I had completed the trees, I needed some grass to bring the whole thing together. And now I just needed some terrain to combine all these masterpieces. The island scene is the bigger final island. Basically, the player starts on the small island and has to build a raft to make it to the bigger island, where you'll be able to be rescued. Once the island had been shaped, I started adding in all the decorations. And after fixing some culling issues on the trees, the next area of the game was looking great. I started getting bored of doing the art, so I began working on the crafting system. This is where my first and only real issue came up. I had no idea how to make a crafting system, and I had spent hours trying to figure it out. After getting fed up, I decided I needed to work on something else. This is when I decided to create the death screen for the player. I also went back to the art and ended up making a bunch of environment models for the map. Then I finally got to start making the locations for the island and the player could explore. I started just making a couple of campsites near the beach and ended up making a hunting site and final location on the peak. Now you'll see me make the radio tower for the peak of the island. This will be the final location and the player needs to reach in order to beat the game. Then I added some ladder functionality so the player could reach the top of the tower. This was actually really fun in my first attempt at a ladder mechanic. I finally stopped recording to put the finishing aesthetic and mechanical touches on the game. I ended up submitting at 4 AM Sunday morning before finally going to sleep. Overall it was a long haul, and at times I got stuck and had to go do something else, but this was honestly one of the least complicated game jams I've participated in. I'm actually really proud of the final game, and I've signed up for 2 more jams over the next couple weeks. I hope you all enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it. Go play and rate my submission called Signal over on itch.io now, the link is in the description. Thanks for watching.